I'm a big fan of pregnenolone. So we've talked a lot about the different sex hormones, steroid hormones. So that's progesterone, allopregnenolone, DHEA, testosterone, DHT. Those are all steroid hormones, sex hormones. The building block of all of them, the master hormone of all of them, is pregnenolone. So your body takes cholesterol and it makes pregnenolone. It then takes pregnenolone and it makes progesterone or DHEA, and it takes the DHEA and then it then makes estrogen or testosterone. There's more to it than that, but that's the really, really simple version. So pregnenolone is the master hormone for all of them. So if you felt like you were generally low in those sex hormones, but you didn't want to be messing around with adding this testosterone here and progesterone there and all the rest of it, you just wanted to give your body more of the raw building block to make more of its own sex hormones, steroid hormones, and then leave it to it, pregnenolone is a very safe and very beneficial and very cheap and easy way of going about that. And so that's one of the things that I like about pregnenolone. Now, because I prefer fine-tuning and getting this, specific hormone higher and this one lower and all the rest of it, I don't personally use pregnenolone anymore. But if I were not, let's say, desert island time, and I were not allowed to take all of those and I could only take one thing, I would just take pregnenolone. Because then with that, my body would be able to make all the rest of them. Pregnenolone, similarly to progesterone, if you had to sum it up in one word, it would be as an anti-stress hormone, similarly to what we would say about progesterone. And in fact, when people supplement pregnenolone, generally their body will make progesterone out of it. And so it's considered, unlike DHEA, which is another precursor hormone that is often used, pregnenolone is considered usually more of a calming hormone. Dr. Ray Peat, who we've talked about a lot, was a huge fan of pregnenolone, and he considered pregnenolone along with progesterone to be miracle cures, that if a person used a sufficient quantity of them, could basically cure most diseases. That was his position, not mine. I'm not making any claims, but his claim is that there was an abundance of scientific research and medical research around this issue, and that pharmaceutical industries were artificially suppressing that research, because if we just gave people pregnenolone and progesterone, most other pharmaceutical drugs would be unnecessary, or at least way less commonly necessary. That was his position. Obviously not a claim that I would be comfortable making, but that was his position. So although it's not a claim I'm comfortable making, in terms of what I would take with me to a desert island to keep myself healthy, second to thyroid, it would be pregnenolone.
Yeah, I was going to ask, because you talked about that it goes cholesterol, pregnenolone, and then so on and so down. As we talked about with DHEA, that there's the potential for it to be converted into estrogen, which is not something that we want. Is there, any concerns here with the pregnenolone of it being turned into something that we may not want it to be turned into?
Yes. So because it's the building block of all of the steroid hormones, there's two major steroid hormones we don't want too much of. One is estrogen and the other is cortisol. So there is the potential, if your body is going in the wrong direction and highly inflammatory and stressed and low energy state and all the rest of it, there is that potential that it will create more cortisol than you would ideally like. And there is that potential that it will create more estrogen than you ideally like. In theory, however, in practice, from what researchers saw and what Dr. Peat heavily promoted, one of the first steps from that pregnenolone is progesterone. And progesterone is this master regulator hormone that kind of stops an excess of cortisol and that stops an excess of estrogen. And so that is kind of a safety valve that, even though in theory an excess of pregnenolone could lead to an excess of cortisol and could lead to an excess of estrogen, in practice, it didn't usually show up that way. Now, that's usually, have I seen people's stories talking about taking pregnenolone and then feeling more anxious? Yes, I have. So I believe, despite what Dr. Peat said, that it definitely can happen, that that, you know, you're in such a mode of creating cortisol. There's this thing called the cortisol steal, which is a lot of people end up low in other sex hormones that they want, like testosterone or progesterone, because the body is taking all the pregnenolone and it's allocating too much of it to cortisol, because you're in this fight or flight state, and you're in this, like, your body thinks that survival is at threat, and so it prioritizes creating lots of stress hormones. So that is possible. If you have that negative effect of pregnenolone, I would say I would discontinue and consider that you must be in this state of high stress for this to be happening. And I would probably consider following some of the other advice that we talked about in different segments, like progesterone to calm down, thyroid to ultimately increase energy production so your body doesn't need to be in this constant stress state in order to have enough energy. And then you could later revisit pregnenolone and then probably have a different experience with it.
And so with somebody that is looking at this, looking at their hormones, what, you know, who would benefit, or who is going to generally supplement with pregnenolone, like starting with that main building block?
People who generally have lower hormones are the most obvious candidate for this, which tends to be older people. So if you generally, you have low progesterone, you have low testosterone, you have low DHEA, maybe you even have not, quite low estrogen and cortisol as well, which definitely happens. Often it's referred to as adrenal fatigue. If someone is generally low in most or all of the steroid hormones, they are the most classic, obvious candidate for pregnenolone, because then rather than, giving loads of different hormones to replace all the ones you're low on, you just give your body the building block to make all of them, and then hope that it does it well. As I said, you have to do other stuff to get it out of that stress state. I would still say maybe thyroid would be primary as well. But it depends. Like I talked about when I talked about thyroid, if a person's in a very high stress state, thyroid can make them worse because they need to calm down first. So then, in fact, progesterone and pregnenolone might be the right place to start. So it does vary. But yeah, someone generally low in most or all of the sex hormones is a very good candidate.
And what are the best forms of pregnenolone?
I've seen it available transdermally, but I don't see any reason not to use it orally. It seems to be absorbed well orally, and it's cheap, it's easy. Generally, people prefer capsules rather than rubbing stuff on their skin. And often, the skin creams contain loads of ingredients and you might not want, whereas your capsules are going to be relatively free of anything that you don't want.
And how would somebody use it? Is it just, I think you mentioned it, a pill potentially daily? Would it be throughout the day because it's a hormone, or is there any other way?
Great question. So pregnenolone, you want to see what effect it has on you. I've seen people talk about it being energizing, even, anxiety promoting, like I said, if they go in that direction. But generally it's considered to be the opposite. It's considered to be calming because of the progesterone effect. So I would say you have to try it and see what effect it has on you. Maybe try it in the middle of the day, kind of the compromise. And then if you find it energizing, then from then on, have it early in the day. If you find it more relaxing, then have it later in the day. It really depends on how you respond to it. And I would have it just once a day. I wouldn't have it throughout the day, although there's no harm in having throughout the day, but I haven't seen any evidence that that's beneficial.
With the pregnenolone, is there going to be a certain way that somebody's going to feel with taking it? I mean, you just discussed, having some energy, things like that, but is there any other way for them to figure out, oh yeah, this is working?
Well, like I said, it's the anti-stress chemical. So ideally, a lot of it's going to be turned into progesterone. And so all of what we talked about of how progesterone makes you feel will be how it makes you feel. But not necessarily. Your body could turn it into cortisol, even DHEA, like we talked about, which could be more energizing. So it does vary. But yeah, I'm simplifying it. For some people, it is a little bit like I described the thyroid, like, oh my God, this is the thing I've been missing. Like, it's a real revelation. And I think for Dr. Ray Peat, it was that, like he felt, oh my God, finally, I've got this thing. Pregnenolone, has its own benefits. I've been recommending pregnenolone actually for 13 years. And the time I first recommended it was for people with so-called adrenal fatigue, people who are exhausted. And I've later realized it's probably because of its effect as the anti-stress hormone that it's actually effective. But, for those people exhausted, it actually gives them energy. So yeah, Pregnenolone and DHA are often thought of as only precursors, but they do have actions on their own right. But I think the reason they're generally thought of as only precursors is because the action that they have in their own right is so variable, which is very different from, you know, some of the others, which are much more predictable.
When you say it gives them energy, are you talking about working through, as we were discussing with DHEA, or is it through, you know, I mean, and then we have cortisol, but...
Yeah, I'm thinking more cortisol, more stimulation as
Right.
opposed to ATP production.
Right. Okay. And I mean, it sounds like because it is the building block of so many that it's, you know, pretty safe to use, but, you know, is there anything somebody should look out for?
According to Dr. P, you know, the usual supplemental amount is like 25 to 100 milligrams. According to Dr. P, you know, you could have several grams a day, which is, again, 10, 20, 30 times the recommended maximum. And he considered it to be not only safe, but highly beneficial. So, and again, that wasn't him making it up. That would be based on, you know, research studies and all the rest of it. Like with rats, I think they were giving them ridiculous amounts, like the equivalent of, like in a human body weight to body weight of like 50 grams a day or something like that. And the rats had no negative effects from it. So it seems like you can have a lot without it being an issue. I would not test that because, as I said, it can make you feel not good if your body has a tendency to turn into cortisol. But I also, again, if you took, say, 1,000 milligrams of pregnenolone and then called 911, I think they would tell you they wouldn't send an ambulance, I don't think.
Perfect. So my understanding is that, so, you know, somebody who is very low in their all hormones is really going to want to look at supplementing and bringing in that pregnenolone.
Definitely in that case. And also someone who knows that some of their hormones are low, like progesterone, but they don't want to, you know, take anything that is, you know, because progesterone, like for instance, in the UK is considered a hormone that you can only get through prescription and stuff like that. So if they want to take something that is, you know, considered very much a supplement as opposed to anything that is, you know, prescribed, then pregnenolone is in that category of being considered very much a supplement. It's one step away from cholesterol, which is in, you know, a lot of people's dinner, right? So it's closer to food than hormones.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Rejuvenate podcast. If you want to watch the full episode that came from, just click on the link above. Or if you just want to watch our latest video, then click the link below. And make sure that you subscribe to the channel and like the video. Thank you.